Now, SCHD, or the Schwab US Dividend Equity ETF, is one of my favorite long-term buy and hold ETFs that I've been accumulating like crazy over the last few years. So much to the point to where I've made it a goal for 2024 for my personal portfolio to buy a minimum of 2 shares per day of SCHD in order to hopefully reach 1,000 shares of it by the end of this year. Now, in this portfolio alone, I currently have 220 shares of SCHD, and throughout all my portfolios as of my most recent tally, I think I have around 515 shares. The buy and hold forever investment strategy has completely changed my investing approach, and at least at this moment, the SCHD ETF is my #1 buy and hold position that I'm attempting to build out like crazy. Now, the buy and hold forever investment strategy is an investment strategy where an investor purchases stocks or assets with the intention of holding onto them for an extended period of time, potentially even forever. Now, this saying is of course tossed around quite a bit these days, when in fact a lot of investors don't actually necessarily have the intention of buying something and truly holding it, whether it moves up or whether it moves down, forever. Now, the idea is to chase strong, fundamentally sound investments and maintain ownership without attempting to time the market and trade it in and out frequently. The strategy is rooted in the belief that high quality investments that is, will appreciate in value over time despite short-term market fluctuations. And by holding onto these investments long-term, investors aim to benefit from compounding returns, dividend payments, dividend growth, and overall growth potential of the assets. Now, a buy and hold forever strategy approach requires patience, discipline, and the confidence in the underlying chosen investment. Investors who follow the buy and hold forever strategy typically believe in the strength of the companies or whatever asset it is that they're investing into, and expect them to do well over the long term, even within short-term market volatility. Now, I wanted to make a video talking more about the buy and hold forever strategy because, like I said in the intro, a buy and hold forever investment truly means that. It's an investment you're willing to buy and hold forever, no matter what happens in the market in the meantime. I just finished my brand new dividend investing ebook where I share exactly how I went from 0 to now over 7 figures invested, and also on how I earned more than $6,000 per month in dividends. I also finished my custom dividend tracker that you can use to track your dividend income progress on an ongoing basis. So make sure to grab yourself a copy of my dividend investing ebook and the new dividend tracker today. It's the first link in my description. Now, throughout my 7-figure dividend growth portfolio, I do have a lot of names in here that I would not potentially consider buy and hold forever ETFs or stocks. For example, we have one right here. We have 50 shares of Walgreens. At one point in the past, Walgreens seemed like a great investment. But to be completely honest, Walgreens was never a buy and hold forever stock in my opinion. And if you look through my portfolio, there's lots of different names in here that are not by any means buy and hold forever investments. Now, owning different assets, even if you don't have the intention to buy and hold them forever, that's perfectly fine. Like I just said a second ago, I have plenty. But when it comes to a singular buy and hold forever asset that I currently own across my portfolios, and I'm talking real estate, I'm talking stocks, I'm talking ETFs, there's only one asset, and by this point you probably know which one I'm talking about, that I truly am looking to buy and hold forever. I'm talking about every single share of this ETF that I buy on a daily basis. I'm looking to hold it forever, lock it up, and throw away the key. Now, my buy and hold forever ETF that we're talking about for this video is of course the SCHD ETF. And I promise you, I am practicing what I preach. You can see right here that basically on a daily basis, just in this one dividend growth portfolio of mine, and keep in mind I do have other portfolios, I'm buying 1 share here, 2 shares there. Some days I'm buying just 1 share, some days I'm buying 2 or maybe even more shares of SCHD. Now stick around because I'm going to explain exactly why this ETF is my #1 buy and hold forever position, and why I think it's important to have some assets that you feel the same about. So why is SCHD, the Schwab US Dividend Equity ETF, my buy and hold forever asset choice? Well, this ETF has a lot of great things to offer for what I'm looking for as a dividend growth investor and a long-term investor at that. I'm currently 31 years old and I'm looking to invest basically until the end of my life. So with those parameters, I need to find an investment vehicle that has, of course, a few different metrics to offer. One of the main metrics is, of course, going to be a cheap expense ratio. I'm not looking to pay a large expense ratio on any investment of mine, long-term, especially as you gain more and more exposure to that investment vehicle. Because over time, even an expense ratio, say at 1%, can definitely add up and will eat into your profits on the road. But along with the expense ratio, I'm very, very interested in buying into an asset that I truly believe in. Now the SCHD ETF's objective is to track as closely as possible before fees and expenses the total return of the Dow Jones US Dividend 100 Index. Now the Dow Jones US Dividend 100 Index has a very clean and safe methodology, and that's part of the reason why I think this ETF has performed so well, at least historically speaking, since the ETF's inception. Now, just to give you a small idea of what I'm talking about here, if you look a little bit deeper into SCHD, it says to pursue its goal, the fund generally invests in stocks that are included in the Dow Jones US Dividend 100 Index. The Dow Jones US Dividend 100 Index is designed to measure the performance of high dividend yielding stocks issued by US companies that have a record of consistently paying dividends, selected for fundamental strength relative to its peers. Based on financial ratios, the 100 component index is a subset of the Dow Jones US Broad Market Index, excluding real estate investment trusts, so no REITs, master limited partnerships, preferred stock and convertibles, and it is modified market capitalization weighted. Now this is sort of what I'm talking about here, and I have made videos going deeper into this, but just to give you an idea, all eligible stocks must sustain at least 10 consecutive years dividend payments. So that right there is a huge metric that I absolutely love, and a rule that all the stocks need to follow. Have a minimum float adjusted market capitalization of 500 million, so no tiny companies are going to be in this ETF. Also things like meeting minimum liquidity criteria, and then from there the index components are selected off more metrics, and so on and so forth. Now another reason why SCHD is my #1 buy and hold forever ETF that I'm looking to hold on to forever is because this ETF has grown over time quite substantially. Over the past 12 or so years, this ETF's price has almost tripled. Now even though I would consider myself more of an income focused investor that's really looking to use cash flow to retire early and live off the dividends, I still find growth very important because at the end of the day, I still want my overall net worth moving up as the years continue. But like I said, as a dividend growth income focused investor, for the most part, that's what I would consider myself. SCHD pays a starting dividend yield of around 3.5% to 4%, depending on where you're buying the shares right now. Now with that decently high starting dividend yield, SCHD is going to be giving me quite a bit of cash flow basically from day one, relative to some of the other more growth focused ETFs out there. And this is definitely without a doubt important to me personally because cash flow, like I said, is a very important metric and sort of one of the main things I focus on. Just once again for my goals personally. If you're not focused on cash flow or income, that's no problem at all. But for me personally, I definitely am. But maybe even just as important as starting dividend yield, the SCHD ETF has had a very high dividend growth rate historically, which means this ETF is going to pay you, or at least it has paid you, more and more in dividends year after year. Now, for example, back in 2011, this ETF paid around 12 cents in dividends per year. 2012, it paid 81 cents in dividends per year. Now, just 10 years later in 2022, the SCHD ETF paid $2.56 in dividends, and that's from 81 cents in dividends 10 years prior. Now, once again, if you look at things on a longer time frame, and if I look at myself as a 31-year-old dividend growth investor who's currently trying to acquire as many shares of SCHD on a consistent basis as possible, if I, in theory, buy into a dividend growth ETF like this one, and it pays me dividends quarterly, and I reinvest as much, if not all the dividends along the way, into more shares of it. But on top of that, it pays me more and more consistently over the long term. There's really only so many outcomes that can come from this. And the most obvious outcome is that an ETF like this could, in fact, possibly create a massive snowball of dividend income later on in life. Now, the last thing I want to talk about sort of more on a personal basis on why I think it's important to really find a buy and hold forever ETF, stock, or whatever investment it is for you. I find it very rewarding on a daily basis to buy my 1, 2, or 3 shares of SCHD, and it sort of became more of a habit or ritual now. And that feeling of buying into an ETF for me personally, knowing that I'm looking to hold on to this for absolute ever, at least of course I hope so, really makes me feel satisfied and has really become a part of my day and definitely a part of my investing journey. But now I want to hear from you guys down below when it comes to your long-term dividend growth investing journey. Do you personally have a buy and hold forever ETF or stock that you buy as of right now on a consistent basis? And if so, drop the name in the comments down below. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to please drop a like on it and subscribe for more future content like this. Thanks as always for stopping by, and if you are interested in investing, make sure to check out these recent videos I posted right here.